Rated M for mature.
Don't let your kids watch it!
Hey there, Artie! 沖宮 TS より全社へ。沖宮 TS より全社へ。ひなみ沢営林署にて、籠城事件発生。
How do you know this?
人質多数。全社は至急、ひなみ沢営林署へ向かわれたし。
How do they know this? How did anybody let them know about this? Oh, it's sunset now. A lot of time has passed. No, nope. No, no. Uisi does not belong in any art style other than the remake.
遅れて申し訳ない。状況は
ご苦労様っす。本日午後1時頃、ひなみ沢営林署内のひなみ沢分校区画にて、当時教室にいた生徒25名全員が拘束されている模様。犯人側の第一要求は、営林署敷地内への一切の立ち入りの禁止と、当保へのホットラインの確保です。
ってことは、初めから警察と交渉する気ってことですか。どういうつもりだ。
あと犯人は交渉人に大石さんを指名してます。犯人は竜宮玲奈。
竜宮さんがわかりました。いいですよ。とことんお付き合いさせてもらいましょう。
Well, at least Uisi's in a good mood. Glad he is. Uisi gave a crooked smile.
竜宮玲奈以外に犯人がいるか不明です。カーテンが閉められているので状況も一切確認できていません。
通報者に占拠時の様子は聞いてませんか。
いえ、竜宮玲奈からの直接の犯行声明でした。よって内部の状況は一切不明。担任は犯行直前に竜宮玲奈の電話呼び出しを受け、遠方に呼び出された間の犯行でした。
計画的ですね。営林署側の人間は人質には。
今日は営林署職員は不在でした。
Hey, Fomoa, did your comments get deleted? Not by me. And I don't think anybody else has the access rights to delete comments. Maybe you got the YouTube glitch. There have been times where, like, my sister's comments got auto-deleted by YouTube. And I don't know why. But, well, that's a mistake. Glad you're here, though. Welcome.
よって生徒25名のみ。生徒数は担任が出席簿で確認した人数です。
それプラス犯人ってわけか。竜宮玲奈以外に犯人らしき人影は。
いえ、何度かカーテンから覗く人影がありましたが、いずれも竜宮玲奈本人でした。ですが規模他を考えて、おそらく最低でももう一人二人はいると予想されます。
単独犯かもしれませんよ。
Renner Ryugu was the true believer in Miyotaka's scrapbooks. According to those scrapbooks, the entire village was Renner Ryugu's enemy. She didn't have anyone she can trust. However, Uisi had also believed in Miyotaka's delusion. It was possible that someone who was influenced in the same way was following Renner Ryugu.
おいさん、校長と担任です。
Principal! He's back from his Utah ski trip!
ああ、どうも千恵先生。大丈夫ですか。
Uisi ran up to Chi-sensei, who was crying with a handkerchief held up to her face.
レナちゃんはとても真面目ないい子なんです。こんなことをするなんて何かの間違いに決まっています。
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
マニュアル通りなら最近の竜宮さんの状況についてお聞きするところなんですがね。多分竜宮さんに限っては先生より私の方が詳しいように思います。
I think we're close to finishing it. This seems like it's the climax.
まあ気を落とされずになんとか穏便に解決しますからご安心を。
Chu-sensei was huddled over, and Uisi didn't think he could say anything else to her. On the contrary, the principal was staying strong, trying to figure out how to take care of the situation.
大石殿、
Principal
よろ
is
し
here,
くお頼みしますぞ。
and he's here to save the day.
もしできるなら人質の交換を申し出たい。
Oh.
ぜひ私と子供たちを交換していただきたい。
Ooh.
校長先生、私が悪いんです。
We got two great authority figures here.
先生方、どうかご自分を責められないでください。先生方には校内の状況についていろいろとお聞きしたいことがありますので。
When will we get a principal spray? Probably never. He doesn't seem like a major character. What did I think about the reveal of Chapter 1? I still don't buy it. I'm not going to believe it unless they actually give me an explanation as to why Rena was acting like a crazed psychopath during that time. Because there are some things that you might be able to explain of, oh, Keiichi was just crazy and paranoid, but there are some things that don't. Like, he physically held the needle at one point. Rena and Mion both mentioned that they were like, yeah, we're gonna kill you at the end with, like, the Tomatake drugs. And they apparently weren't. But they still said that. Rena still chased us with a hatchet. Rena still hardcore stalked us and admitted to it. Rena still tried to break into our house. You know, there's still a lot of stuff that's very much left unanswered. So, I'm still going with my theory of Keiichi was crazy, but so were Rena and Mion. As of right now, that's the only thing that can make sense. Need anime. 2 words that do not describe my life.
ボンジ君、図面の方で話を聞いてあげてください。
失礼します。1号車の無線に高杉課長です。
はいはい、もしもし。
大石さん、ご苦労さん。状況の大体は熊谷君に聞いたよ。犯人は未成年だそうだね。マスコミ規制の方を厳重に頼むよ。
Oh yeah, no problem.
分かってます。あと、犯人側が私を交渉人に指定してきてるようですが。
The negotiator.
竜宮玲奈の件は先日の寄生虫の話以来よく知ってる。その流れなら犯人は君のことをまだ味方だと思ってくれているんだと思う。大石君以外には務まらない。くれぐれもよろ。
本当はすっごく嫌なんですがね。ちょっと今回はいろいろとお騒がせした責任を感じてますので、
おいさん、車載電話に犯人です。
早速ご指名の電話が来ました。早速出ることにします。ありがとう。はい、もしもし、大石です。
大石さんですか？
Pure red, there we go.
どうも、竜宮です。
どうも、大石です。
車載電話って電波とかが悪いんですか？たまにちょっと聞こえにくくなりますね。
私と同じでね、定年間近なんですよ、きっと。
Luisi and I exchanged friendly words. A long cord trailed through the hallway from the teacher's office. That cord extended further to the phone on the podium in the classroom.
では、本題に入りますね。まず最初に、あなたが交渉人たる資格があるか確認します。
You know sensory delusions are possible just because of believing that something is there, right? Yeah, to an extent. Not to the extent that Keiichi was suffering them. You can mistake things, like seeing things for other things. You can hear weird noises where there aren't any. You can't hear people saying words that they don't actually say. Like, that goes way beyond what actual, like, auditory hallucinations are.
自信ないな。お伺いします。
大石さんは私の味方ですよね。
In order for that to happen, Keiichi would have to not hear what they actually said and then make believe that they said something that they didn't. And I don't buy that.
当然じゃないですか。あなたと私で園崎家の陰謀を暴こうじゃないですか。
Luisi answered without hesitation. Was he still my ally? Or was this sly detective just saying what I wanted to hear? Either way, I only had Luisi to depend upon. If I couldn't trust him, I was stuck. There would be nothing else I could do.
圭一君も一時期は私が言ってることを信じてくれなかったんだよね。でも今は信じるでしょ？
Don't drag me into this now. Keiichi-kun was sitting on the floor facing away from me with his head resting on his hands.
今はもう私の仲間で味方だもんね。
ああ。
He's like, yeah, what else can I say? He looks miserable in that sprite. Yeah. The poor guy. Oh, wow. Rare win for the Keiichi Remake W. That face is way more expressive close-up than the other two. He's just like, oh. Just looks so like, oh my gosh, this is horrible, but I have to go along with it. Ren and Ryugu asked Keiichi Maebara if he was her comrade, but I couldn't hear his voice. Was she trying to tell me that Keiichi Maebara was still alive? Or that he was being forced to obey her because of the hostages?
前原さんも竜宮さんの味方なんですね。心強いことです。 でもあなたも一時期前原さんを少し疑われていたじゃないですか。
モデルガンの事件を聞いてなんて人だろうって思った。でも過去の事件で今を見損なっちゃいけない。それらを踏み台にして私たちはより良い理想の自分になれるように成長していかなくちゃならないんだから。
The dissonance in the calmness of her voice and the craziness of her actions.
とてもいいことを言いますね。まさにその通りです。
だから私たちは許し合ったの。だから圭一君のことを私はもう疑わない。圭一君は仲間。
わかりました。ならばそれは私にとっても圭一君は仲間と。
Luis is like, alright, Keiichi's an accomplice. Let's just write that down.
圭一君に私がよろしくと言ってると伝えてください。
後で言っておきますね。
圭一君にも新しい仲間としてご挨拶がしたいです。受話器に出てもらうことはできますか？
The conversation stopped suddenly. That made me nervous. Did I say something wrong?
いいよ、圭一君。大石さんから電話だよ。
I heard some rattling and rustling on the other side of the phone.
もしもし、前原です。
He sounded monotone. Unable to disobey, Keiji Maebara must have been pretending to follow Ren and Ryugu's orders.
どうも前原沖宮署の大石です。この度はお世話になります。お互い頑張りましょう。
はい、よろしくお願いします。
龍宮さんは今何をしてますか？
教室の中を歩いてますよ。
前原さん。
I heard that!
イエスならはい、ノーなら A と相槌を打ってください。あなたは龍宮さんが何を要求しようとしてるか。
ええ。
That answer told me for sure. Keiichi Maebara wasn't Ren and Ryugu's accomplice. There's no way Ren wouldn't tell her accomplice what she wanted after planning a hostage situation like this. How would he help someone who wouldn't even tell him what she wanted?
担当直入にお聞きします。あなたは龍宮レナの味方？いえ質問を変えます。あなたは龍宮レナに脅迫されて従っているふりをしている。
はい。
There you go. The other guys in the car listening in our conversation raised their fists in victory.
犯人は龍宮レナの一人だけ？
はい。
If she was the only suspect, then we could respond appropriately. I guess nobody else believed in Takano's scrapbooks. If so, my being fooled was even more embarrassing. As I thought about my next question, I heard the phone being taken away from Keiichi. Rena came back on the line.
ね、圭一君は味方でしょ？
ねえ、そうでした。とても頼もしいですよ。
で、今度は大石さんが話してくれる番。前の電話で約束した園崎家関係への一斉捜査はどうですか？
Yeah, again. Rena, are you just doing this to be in a position of power so you can, demand things like this? I still don't know why you're holding the school hostage.
秘密の研究施設は発見できましたか？
I had to decide on what to say. Should I tell her we conducted raids or not? Maybe she already knew we didn't raid. Maybe she was just testing me.
今ですね、県警の防隊と公安部で一斉捜査作戦を準備中なんです。何しろ市内全域を一斉にやりますからね。調整に多少の時間が。
遅すぎる！大石さん、私たちは今、獅子骨市が置かれている緊急的危機についてよく理解し合っているんじゃなかったでしたっけ？何をのんびりとしたことを。大石さん、本当に私の話を信じてくれているんですよね？私の味方なんですよね？味方ですよね？答えてください。
You didn't answer right away. You had to think about it first, didn't you?
ですが、警察組織ってやつは簡単に私も最大限。ただですね、やはり話の規模があまりに大きすぎるもので。
大石さん、私、奴らにどこかで毒を盛られました。富武さんにあの異常な死に方を強いたあれをどこかで盛られたんです。昨日から痒くて仕方がない。
There's no way that was just yesterday. That was at least a few days.
もう私、首をかきむしりすぎて血まみれなんです。いつ錯乱して喉をかき破ってしまうかもわからないというのに、大石さんは何をもたもたと。
I knew it. Uisi didn't realize how dire the situation was. He understood there was some kind of a conspiracy in Hinamizawa, but he didn't realize how soon their plan was going to be executed. Besides, I was already feeling itchy all over my body and was bound to soon die the same way as Tomatake-san.
申し訳ないです。これでも頑張っているんです。ただですね、 みんな言うんですよ。証拠はないのかと。
証拠があればすぐに動いてくれるんですか？
Mio-san's scrapbooks. Maybe that was what I'd need to convince the police. I was afraid someone would destroy the evidence if I handed them over to Uisi-san, so I kept them with me. But I didn't have much longer to live. I might not even make it until tomorrow morning. That's right, I might be dead before tomorrow. I would die tonight.
わかりました。ミオさんのスクラップ帳をお渡しします。それでどうか他の警察の人たちを一刻も早く説得してください。
ああ、助かります。そのスクラップ帳をぜひ。
I looked through my backpack, which was lying by my feet. Mio-san's scrapbooks were in there.
これは私たちの切り札です。大石さん、くれぐれも、いや、絶対によろしくお願いします。
わかりました。信頼してください。必ずや奴らの陰謀を暴いてみせます。
でも、まあ多分警察も組織だからそうなんだろうなとは思ってたんです。
She's not wrong.
だからちょっと強引なやり方だけど、こんな形を取らせてもらったんです。大石さんは私に要求されて仕方なくやっているという言い訳ができるはず。なんとかこのチャンスを有効に生かしてください。
ありがとうございます。
Rena could as well say something different since she was saying stuff that Keiji didn't know. Still, auditory hallucinations can be even more extreme and not match reality at all, and the person doesn't have to say anything. Still seems a bit extreme. Maybe they'll explain more about that.
必ずやあなたの期待に添えるよう努力します。ではどうしましょう。
Because if for it to happen at the level that it happened in Chapter 1, it would literally just have to be so severe all of a sudden that Keiji just does not process anything even remotely close to reality. And somehow nobody notices. It doesn't add up for me. Maybe they'll cover it more. Maybe they can convince me.
私が受け取りに参りましょうか。
I knew she wouldn't let me into the classroom. She was still cautious. I could guess where Rena Ryugu was going to take this thing, so I tried to stay ahead of her. I handed a memo with my instructions on it to a colleague.
さすがに私がこの場を離れるわけにはいかないので、代わりに圭一君に持って行かせます。
その方がいいかもしれません。やはりあなたが学校の外へ出れば、もし
やって
いえ、この騒ぎをもう園崎家も嗅ぎつけているでしょう。あなたがこういう手に打って出るとは思わなかったでしょうから、強引な手で口封じをしてくる可能性があります。
口封じ？それって
狙撃です。園崎家のヒットマンは多分。
See, I'm not sure if you're helping matters by bringing that up.
だからあなたは表に出ない方がいい。窓にも近づかないでください。さっきから何度か顔を出しているようですが、あれは危ない。
I'm gonna try to go until the end of the chapter. Yeah, I think we're pretty close. We only have one more achievement left.
そこを撃たれてしまいますよ。
ちょっと周りには警察がいるんでしょ？そんなの未然に防げないんですか？
防げるなら防ぎます。ですがね、周りの視界が良すぎます。訓練を受けたものなら400メートルくらいはやすやすと狙撃するそうです。ましてや、あなたもご存知の通り、園崎家の特攻隊は軍事訓練を受け、中でも暗殺技術に関しては特に習得しています。
but this doesn't seem like it's the right thing to say.
奴らは侮らないでください。園崎家の陰謀を暴くには、あなたの力がまだまだ必要なんです。
Maybe it's just a play to be like, oh yeah, I'm totally on your side.
わかりました。忠告をありがとうございます。どうせ明日まで持たない命でも今終わらせるわけにはいきませんので。
そうですともそうですと。いいですか。くれぐれも窓から顔を覗かせないでください。
Oh, is that how it's gonna go?
用心してください。
The phone conversation ended. Rena Ryugu was going to let Keiichi Maibara deliver the scrapbooks.
さっき書いたやつ用意できてますね。
OK です。うまく渡せますかね。
狙撃されるかもしれないと脅して外を覗かせないようにしたつもりです。でもまあ見てるでしょうね。
How much time do I have? Like, I technically don't have a hard cutoff, but I was going to play potentially Lethal Company with... Oh, wait, no, actually, Lethal Company's tomorrow, I think. with my friends. Is that? Let me just double check. And oh, maybe not. Oh wait, hang on. Was that for last week? No, that was for this week. Okay, there might be Lethal Company tonight, but that's not starting for a bit. So
そこはうまくやります。
that depends on how long it takes for the Sasakis to send someone to Artie's home. They don't know where I live. I roughly understood what was going on from the phone conversation.
じゃあケイチ君
Hi, Rena.
これとても大切なスクラップ帳。園崎家の陰謀と奴らの侵略の証拠を暴く証拠。大石さんに渡してきてね。
Yes, yes.
渡したらすぐに戻ってくるんだよ。見てるからね。変なことをしたら怒るからね。
I understand. Rena took out a couple of old scrapbooks from her backpack and gave them to me. Then she cast a sidelong glance at Mion.
みーちゃんにも後で話すよ。みーちゃんの家がどれほど恐ろしい陰謀を企んでいるかをね。
You could still do a live stream out of the part that's left? How much longer is the chapter? We only have one more achievement for, like, story progression. So unless it's like, we're not giving you an achievement for story progression for the next 5 hours.
ひょっとするともう知ってるのかもしれないけどね。じゃあケイチ君、校庭の真ん中まででいいよ。余計な立ち話とかしちゃ
Okay,
ダメ。
I understand.
ケイチ君は持っていくだけだから。
Jeez
無言
Louise.
おしゃべり禁止だからね。
So she doesn't trust
お
us.
しゃべりしたら知恵先生なら T 定規で叩くけど、私ならなんで叩いちゃおうかな。
分かってるよ。無言で持っていくからそのナタを下ろせ。俺はレナの仲間だろ。仲間だったら信用しろな。
そうだね。仲間だから信用するよ。だから裏切らないでね。
Are you... Okay, hold on. Is that actually accurate, Liz? We still have around the length of this stream plus 30 minutes. Are you trolling right now? Or is that actually accurate? Because we only have 3 achievements left. One is for story progression, one is for reading all the tips, and one is for just having the conversation for Higurashi in the staff room. Because if that's the case, we're definitely not finishing it tonight. Rena's eyes were telling me clearly. They were telling me she didn't trust me. But even in this state, she also knew she shouldn't distrust her friends. Therefore, although she couldn't trust me, she was pretending to. That was why she didn't tie me up.
じゃあ行ってくる。すぐ戻るよ。
よろしくね。
I walked past my friends who were lying down on the floor and headed to the exit. I saw some of their faces as I passed. Some were fearful. Some were sure that I'd use the opportunity to run. And some were scared that they'd die if I did. Don't worry, guys. I won't let her even touch any of you. If Rena tries to do something, I'll stop her even if I have to risk my own life. Anyway, I'll do whatever it took to ensure that nobody dies. I had to make sure that Rena didn't get angry. If I'd just wait for the right moment. I went down to the school entrance and changed my shoes, then unlocked the door and stepped outside. Yeah, you gotta change your shoes, even in a hostage situation. That's just polite. I felt the fresh air on my skin. I saw the lights from the police cars. I could feel all the policemen looking at me. As soon as I was in the schoolyard, a little voice tried to tempt me. I was free from Rena now. If I ran off the school grounds, I'd be free. What was I thinking? If I did something like that, Rena would go crazy, and who knows what else she'd do. The important thing here wasn't my safety. It was to make sure that Rena didn't kill anyone. I saw a big man coming towards me from the school gate. That was probably Yuichi-san.
前原圭一さんですね。どうもどうも。沖宮市の大石です。クラちゃんと呼んでくださっても。
Kura? Really?
すみません。レナから何も喋らずにこれを渡せって言われてます。だから無言でこれを受け取ってください。
わかりました。それが問題のスクラップ帳ですね。お預かりします。
I tried to hand the scrapbooks to Yuichi-san, but he stepped aside a little. Eh? Confused as to what he was doing, I changed my position and handed them to him again. He took them that time. And at that point, Uichi put something that was under his jacket into my pocket.
大丈夫です。校舎はあなたの背中ですから。竜宮さんが窓から見てたとしても、今のやりとりは見えていません。
何なんですか？ これは。
I couldn't look into my pocket because I didn't want Rena to suspect anything, but whatever it was pretty heavy for its size.
あなたへのメモもあります。教室へ戻る途中で竜宮さんに見つからないようにこっそり読んでください。
Easier said than done.
ではそのまま戻って。これ以上は不信がられます。
You didn't notice that the episode had 2 hours instead of 1 hour, so it actually could be 100% as long as this stream was. If that's not a sentence that I can read properly. I just followed his directions. I was worried Rena had begun to suspect something. Walkthrough no commentary video had about 2 hours left. Lovely, okay. When I looked at the classroom, the curtains were closed. But that didn't mean she wasn't peeking out through a crack. I went back to the entrance and locked the door. If Rena checked and found the door unlocked, it would cause more trouble. Rena was in the classroom. There was no way she'd come down this way. She was alone. If she left the classroom, everyone would get up and run. They couldn't run because Rena was there, but they were all waiting for their chance. The entrance, then, was Rena's blind spot. As I changed my shoes, I quickly removed what Uisi-san had put into my pocket. There was a radio with an earpiece? And something else that looked like a short police baton. There was also a folded piece of paper. I opened the piece of paper and saw a note written in small print. Dear Maibara-kun, please hide the bug in your pocket. It picks up even a low voice, so you should use it to get in touch with me. By using the earphone, you can hear me in return. There's also a spray for self-protection. It sprays as far as 1 meter. Make sure you aim for the face. This must be the spray. I guess it's safe to try it here. I held down the button and gas sprayed out of the nozzle. Compared to Rena's hatchet, this required some caution, but it was small enough to fit inside of my hand. It was reassuring that I could hide it so easily. In other words, it was now possible for me to stop Rena. As I realized all my classmates' fates rested on my shoulders, I felt sweat form on my face. The memo continued. The spray is just for self-defensive purposes. Pepper spray only impairs eyesight, and while it makes your enemy powerless due to extreme pain and coughing for at least 30 minutes, it's not powerful enough to render them unconscious. Therefore, please don't forget there's a possibility your enemy may fight back desperately in panic. This spray is your last resort. Please don't depend on it, but if you need it, make sure to use it. He writes fast. Oisi. Was he telling me to use it or not? It was probably one of those grown-up issues. If the cops entrusted me solely with the fate of the hostages and I failed, they'd be held liable. So while he gave me a weapon, he made me consider its use. I hid the bug and the spray in my pockets and went back to the classroom. Hopefully Rena doesn't check him. I felt a little dizzy, maybe because I was nervous. I was simply following Rena's orders because I had no other choice. That was why I wasn't scared. But things were different from before. I had a weapon. I was in a far better position, but my heart was pounding. Humans are so strange. Shit, what am I going to do? What should I do, Keiichi Maibara? Did I want to fight with Rena? The memo said the spray only reaches as far as 1 meter. 1 meter? That was basically a hand-to-hand battle. That meant I only had one opportunity. Wasn't that the same as, like, the squirt guns? I didn't have a second chance. The memo also said I needed to aim for her face. That wasn't going to be easy. Shit! Besides, Rena was cautious. How could I stand directly in front of her within 1 meter? But that's what I'd have to do if I have a chance of winning. Rena would do anything to reach her goal. She wouldn't even hesitate to kill. Just like how I didn't. Of course, things were already extremely serious. An apology definitely wouldn't be enough. But at least there wouldn't have been any casualties. The more time passed, the more irritated Rena would get. She might demand something again, and she might kill someone that time to show how serious she was. Bad things had already taken place, but a tragedy hadn't occurred yet. But it was almost here. It wasn't very far at all. When I closed my eyes, I could easily picture Rena killing one classmate after another. After I killed Rena and Mion, my room was covered in blood. If she killed 20 people, the classroom would be a pool of it. If that happened, Rena would. She still wouldn't realize she was being delusional. She would rip out her own throat and die. That would be too big of a cross for her to bear, and for one day, she would remember and be saddened. She didn't need to go through that. I didn't want Rena to go through what I had to go through. Shit, I felt dizzy. This was a very long hallway. I didn't know the classroom was so far. With each step I took, my determination to fight Rena became stronger. Rena would be shocked to realize I betrayed her. But if she couldn't wake up from her nightmare on her own, someone else would have to wake her up. And her friends needed to be the ones to do that. You took too long. I killed 5 people already.
大石さん、何か言ってた？
なんだ？
As soon as I stepped into the classroom, I smelled something. Everyone had moved to one corner of the classroom. The smell reminded me of a gas station. Was it? Gasoline? This is a gassy smell. Reminded me of a gas station. It couldn't be gas! I saw a red gasoline container by Rena's feet. The cap was open. It was seemingly sturdy and made of metal. She said gasoline. It said gasoline on the side, written in felt marker. She must have spread it across the entire classroom. The smell was almost giving me a headache. No, it wasn't just in the classroom. The classmates were soaked in gasoline too. How could she? I see. This was just like a hijacker holding a bomb. If the police were to rush in, she would burn the hostages. I didn't know where she got it, but she had a lighter in her left hand.
レナ、これはどういう真似だよ。
もちろんやらないよ。万が一の時の保険なの。私だって大好きなみんなのバーベキューなんて見たくない。だから冗談で済んでほしいって思ってる。
Rena showed off the lighter. Obviously, she was trying to threaten me. I'd heard about people committing suicide by setting themselves on fire. That seems like a painful way to commit suicide. They pour gasoline on themselves and light it ablaze. You might think that if it was extinguished right away, it wouldn't be that bad. But human skin is supposed to be very delicate. And they say that even if 30% of a person's skin gets burned, it's enough to be fatal. Anakin would beg to differ. If it was your entire body, it would result in death for sure. I had been put in a disadvantageous position. My weapon might take Rena's sight, but I couldn't stop her from using the lighter. She'd probably use it the moment she's attacked. I didn't know if she realized it, but the kind of lighter she had would keep burning until the lid was closed. Therefore, all she'd need to do is light it and drop it onto the floor. In other words, my spray can wouldn't make Rena powerless at all. The last resort Uisi-san gave me had already lost all of its power.
保険なんて大丈夫だろう。大石さんはスクラップ帳があればきっと警察を納得させられる。そうなればあとは一斉捜査で奴らの陰謀が暴ける。そうなんだろう。
あのスクラップ帳だけで本当に動いてくれるかな。お役所ってのはお尻の重いところだそうだからね。
Rena was thinking if she didn't see any progress with the scrapbooks, she'd pressure the police by letting them know about the gasoline.
とりあえずは大石さんを信じよう。あとは家宝を待つだけだろ。
そうだね。じゃあさっきの話の続きをするかな。それでね、その寄生虫は長い時間を経るうちに徐々に無害になっていったの。でもそれでは面白くない人たちがいた。それがひなみ沢御三家なの。だから彼らは。
Rena was simply telling everyone what she heard from Takano-san. I started mumbling so I could let Oishi-san know what was going on.
すごい匂いだよな。ガソリンをポリタンク丸々ぶちまけるとすごいもんだ。
I was pretending to mumble to myself, so I could only say it very quietly. I wished I could say it louder, but it was probably impossible. I wasn't sure if Oishi-san could hear me. I thought of an idea to find out whether or not they could hear me.
車のクラクション聞きたいな。
クマちゃん、クラクション一発。
Kumagai honked the horn once quickly.
ガソリンとは参ったっすね。これでさっきからなんとなく感じてた匂いの正体が分かりました。
Very intense.
多分この後の要求を押し通すための切り札にするつもりでしょうね。
クマちゃん、普通の若い子がポリタンクって言い方をしたら18リットル入りのあれですよね。
Good night, Liz. Please get some sleep. And try not to stay up too late in the future.
さあ、多分。
小宮山君、営林署の人まだ返してないですよね。ちょっと呼んでもらえます？なるほどね。警交官にはちゃんと
It
ガ
was
ソリ
very
ン
nice
と
of her
明
to
記して
label
あ
the
る
cans as gasoline.
灯油のポリタンクにも灯油とちゃんと書いてある。
はい。中身を間違えたら大変ですから、すべての燃料容器にはちゃんと明記してあります。
Not too many people know this, but regular portable tanks can't hold gasoline. Gasoline, while common, is extremely flammable, and it can be lit even with static electricity. Therefore, gasoline must be kept in special metal containers. I keep mine in a very thick plastic container. Those are called carrying cans.
じゃあ前原さんがガソリンって言ったのは間違いなくガソリンなわけだ。携行缶は何リットルのサイズのがあったんですか
18リットル用と5リットル用の2種類があったと記憶してます。
5リットル用って多分平たい形をしたやつですよね。
ええ、真っ赤で平たくてこう取っ手がついています。
前原圭一はポリタンクという言い方をしましたね。18リットルの方でしょうか。
あるいは見慣れない形だったんで、とりあえず適当な言葉が思いつかずポリタンクという言い方をしたのかもしれない。でもどのみち本当にガソリンだとしたらかなり危険なことになります。
Gasoline burns when lit. Yes, thank you. But what's an even bigger threat is than liquid gasoline are the fumes. When gasoline fumes are lit on fire, they explode. Also, gasoline evaporates quickly and easily. Even at freezing temperatures, it evaporates. And so, in other words, inside the closed classroom, the fumes would fill the entire space. The classroom would then become a bomb itself.
クマちゃん、危険物第4類とかわかる？
いえ、気化ガソリンが危険だってことは理解してるんですが、詳しいことまでは。
18リットルと5リットルで最悪の場合どの程度規模が違うか調べときたいな。そうだ、ジジイに聞いてみよう。署に連絡して鑑識のじい様がいるか聞いてみて。
おお、
Oh no, it's the forensics guy!
犯人に直接リーチ一発振り込みドカーンってところ。
裏まで乗っちゃって大変なことになってます。そのドカンってのは実に笑えないですな。ところですいません、危険物の第4種はお持ちで？
おつよんか？ここにいる人間全員足せば公主じゃぞい。どうした？ガソリンでも巻いて籠城しとるんか？
まさにそのようです。人質の一人に盗聴器を持たせてるんですが、どうも犯人は教室内にガソリンを撒いたようなんです。ただ撒いた量が18リットル缶か5リットル缶かは分かりません。両方のケースのですね、最悪の場合について教えてもらえませんかね。教室の広さは
だいたい50平米ですね。
It's a good thing they just have the blueprints of the classroom on hand.
室内は密閉か？
おそらくさぞやガソリン臭いだろうと思います。
多いしまずいぜい。
やっぱり
教室は粉々に吹っ飛ぶぜい。教室内はまず全員
そりゃ18リットルの場合ですか？
アホ、5リットルの場合じゃ。
Yes.
わしの記憶がボケてないなら 1.8 メートルの室内を吹き飛ばすのに4リットルもあれば十分だったはずじゃ。
The policeman listening to their conversation on the side went pale. 8 by 8 meters meant a room that was 64 square meters. Only 4 liters are needed to blow that up, and at least 5 liters were scattered in a 50 square meter room.
つまりお釣りが来るってことですね。嫌なリーチだな。じゃあ聞きたくはないんですが、18リットルだったら
Is that gonna blow up all of the surrounding area too?
そうだのう。大石風に例えると親のリーチ一発ピンフ単葉赤々ドラドラに振り込む感じかの。
What the heck does that
ど
mean?
ういう意味っすか？
親の倍満24000点、配給減点が25000点だから1000点本は1本残るってことですかね。
そんなところだのう。柱1本くらいは残るかもしれんぞい。
Gotcha.
そりゃあ振り込みたくないリーチだな。ね。
今のうちに消防署に連絡して化学車両
いや
を待機させた方がいいだろうの。
Just in case.
事件解決後の処理は消防の指示を仰ぐ必要があるぞい。
参ったな。こいつは盗聴情報なんで消防車を呼び寄せたらバレちまうな。なんとか学校から見えないところに待機させましょう。
それがいいの。あとそれから多いし。
ねえ、さっき人質の一人と接触できましてね。その際にこっそりと盗聴器を持たせました。ガソリン散布はそれで分かったんですよ。
まずいの。化学火災の事例で発火原因に電
Oh,
子
no.
ランプの点灯があったはずだぞい。ガソリンの発火点は300度程度。 火花はおろか静電気でも着火して爆発。
冗談じゃない。
Okay, nobody mess with their hair.
なんだってそんな危険な液体がこうも簡単に世の中にあるんですか
How
ね。
else are we gonna mow the lawn?
知るか。消防法と自動車社会を作った連中に言え。6月だからの。そう空気も乾燥しとらんとは思うが、とにかく万が一に備えて。
I can't because the listening device is turned off. Oh wait.
大石さん、盗聴器で聞く限り犯人はライターを所持している模様です。
ってことはつまり前原さんがスプレーを使って静止しようとしても
True.
着火までは防げない可能性が大ってわけだ。しかも盗聴器まで使えなくなるとはなんてこった。
おいしライターはまずいぞ。冗談でもいじらせてはならん。犯人もガソリンの危険性を認知しとらん可能性がある。量を聞く限りとても知識があるとは思えんぞ。
Luis's back was covered with a cold sweat. He never even thought this would turn into such a serious matter. All of a sudden, this is becoming like a Fruit of Grisea situation. He didn't know how dangerous gasoline was. He didn't know because he'd never heard of cars exploding in car accidents. He knew it was dangerous, but he didn't know what it was capable of. Gasoline is more dangerous once it evaporates. Therefore, a burning car in an accident and gasoline fumes being ignited are at completely different levels. It's quite simple to understand if you think about how car engines work. Cars vaporize gasoline in the carburetor and let it explode in the engines and cylinders. In other words, that little explosion in the engine is what gives cars the power to move. Therefore, if you want more power, an engine needs to be bigger to create a bigger explosion. So if an engine cylinder was the size of a classroom, how much power would it create? Anyone with knowledge of engines would know. But a lot of people don't consider how dangerous evaporated gasoline is, because it's too familiar. 25 hostages and 1 hostage taker. All 26 people were basically stuck in a huge bomb. Furthermore, the suspect might accidentally set it off. If she were to pretend to light the lighter as a threat, that would be the end. All of the people around Uisi had gone pale. The classroom might explode at any moment. How could they save all the hostages? Especially when the criminal was living in her own delusion and her requests were something so unreal.
失礼します。先ほど受け取ったスクラップ帳の中に犯人からと思われる文書が見つかりました。
One of the policemen brought over a folded piece of paper. Uisi opened it while the others watched. He saw girlish handwriting on the paper. He could tell this was written before she invaded the school. Dear Uisi-sama, if you are reading this letter, it means I'm at the final stage. I must have seized the school and held the students as hostages. I'm planning to appoint you as a negotiator, so please pretend to be threatened by me and become my contact with the outside. The first thing I want to tell you is that my enemy is the Sonozaki family, and also the aliens, who are pretending to be the parasites that control the Sonozaki family.
宇宙人?
What? I didn't think you'd believe me if I brought up the aliens, so I didn't tell you about them until now. But when you read those scrapbooks, you will understand. The aliens came to Earth in UFOs in ancient times. They landed in Onikafuji Swamp. They used this village as their breeding grounds. And through that selective breeding, they widened their domain. They were successful, and now they're trying to invade the Earth.
なんだこりゃ。
All of the other patrolmen frowned at the letter.
いやいや、高野の他のスクラップ帳も読みましたが、これ個人的にはオッシーが面白かったな。
The Sonozaki family, as well as all of the village authorities, have been brainwashed by the aliens. The villagers' attempts to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama were actually part of the aliens' strategy to invade the Earth. The aliens are very clever. They don't let people realize they're being controlled. The Erie Clinic must be their secret research center. Please conduct an investigation and expose their secret. Also, please check out the bottom of the swamp. The UFO must still be there. Also, capture all the relatives of the free families and take x-rays of their brains. You'll find hideous parasites inside of them. But please be careful. The aliens eliminate whoever finds out about them by replacing their host with a look-alike. That's how they've been controlling the village. Therefore, there may already be some aliens among the villagers. It is possible that they will try to interfere with your investigation. As a matter of fact, there have already been look-alikes of Mio Takano, Rika Furude, and me, Renato Yugu. If you see any of those 3, capture them immediately. That will be the proof of the aliens existing among us.
高野美代？どうしてでしょうね。
ああ、あれだ。俺さ、彼女との電話で岐阜県警さんの検視で1日ズレがあったかもしれないですよって言っちゃったことがあったんですよ。
Are we at least going to get a to be continued soon? I'm going to end the stream of the next to be continued, but we just aren't getting one.
ああ、 検視結果のミスの話ですか。
それで私、祭りの日には死んでたはずなのにどうしていたのかななんてことを言っちゃったんです。それをこういう風に解釈するとはな。ふざけ半分で脅しすぎたかな。
自分の名前が含まれてるのも奇妙ですね。鏡に映ったのでも見間違えたとか。
One of the policemen spoke up. He was one of the pair who searched the garbage dump that night.
これは俺、ほら、竜宮レナを探し回った晩、ゴグナで目撃されたって話があったでしょ。あれだよ。あれは多分村人の誰かが流したデマなんだよ。で、それを本人がどこかで聞いて、自分がもう一人いるように錯覚した。
There's only one achievement left, but there are always multiple to be continued before you get an achievement. Usually 2. Or earlier, 3.
くそったれ。ノストラダムスだっけ？あれの大予言と同じですね。何が起こっても予言に含まれるように解釈しちまう。今の竜宮レナは箸が転んだって宇宙人の仕業だって言い出すぞ。
あるいはいずれ捕まることを予見して精神鑑定で有利になる資料を先に用意したとか。
そんなことあの子は考えてないよ。あの子は本気で信じてる。いや、本気の本気で。コロッと生かされた私だからわかるんです。彼女は本気で信じてるんだ。
あ、まだ1枚あるっすよ。何？
P.S. I was poisoned yesterday with the same stuff that killed Toмотake-san. I've been scratching my throat since then. I will probably have clawed my throat open by tomorrow. If you can find the antidote when you investigate the Erie Clinic, please bring it to me.
これは
ですね。本気で宇宙人の話を真に受けてるなら解毒剤だと言えばうまく騙せるかも。
But you may not find the antidote, or maybe it'll be too late by the time you do. Therefore, considering the time I have left, I will set 7 p.m. tonight as the deadline. If an investigation doesn't take place and the antidote doesn't arrive by 7 p.m., I will choose to die with all of the hostages by lighting the gasoline instead.
19時？今何時だ
？18時前です。
Days are long nowadays. It doesn't get dark even in the evenings. It'll probably start to get dark at around 7 p.m.
あと1時間か。
Rena, that's a horrible thing to do. If you're going to die, don't kill all these innocent kids with you. Like, why? That doesn't even make sense.
いや、1時間を待たずに火遊びで大爆発するかも。
Unless that's a bluff and you're just doing that to speed them up. Still messed up. But if she actually, like, tries to do that, there is no escape.
くそ、どうすりゃいい？
何が地球侵略と戦うだ。それに人質を巻き込むなんてめちゃくちゃだ。
めちゃくちゃなんです。今の彼女にはまともな交渉なんか通用しない。しかも本人は冷静だと思ってる分だけ立ちが悪い。
おいさん、それより次の文章。
何？
I'm planning to spread gasoline throughout the classroom. I'm sure you realize how dangerous that is. If anyone suggests storming into the room, please tell them exactly how bad an idea that would be. Also, the hostages are anchored down with U-shaped bike locks. Even if those alien policemen rushed in and killed me, they'd have to cut each lock. But if you tried cutting them, you might create sparks. Therefore, you'd need to completely ventilate the room first. In other words, it'll take an extremely long time to rescue all of the hostages from the classroom. Actually, I have a different explosive system set up other than the gasoline I spread. It's a very simple time bomb using gasoline and a kitchen timer. The kitchen timer provides electricity at a set time. I rip the tip off its plug, and so it'll create enough sparks to ignite the gasoline. I've already set the timer to 7 p.m. Even if I'm not around, there will be an explosion at that time. If the classroom isn't ventilated by then, it'll explode too. I'm sorry to ask you like this, Uisi-san, but please help me so we can avoid a tragedy. Please let the three families know that me and Sonozaki, the successor to the head of the Sonozaki family, and Rika Furude, a mascot for the cult of Oyoshiro-sama, are in this classroom. If anyone from the three families helps you, I'm sure their conspiracy will be exposed by tonight. The alien invasion is going to happen very soon. Please get going quickly. To my ally, Uisi-san. Whenever you go. Smash! Uisi threw the scrapbooks to the ground.
くそったれ！何が味方だ！
キッチンタイマーって目覚まし時計みたいなもんですか？
ああ、昔の炊飯器とかにはタイマーがついてないものも多かったんですよ。それでね、 コンセント穴のついたキッチンタイマーって名前の目覚まし時計がありましてね。そのコンセントに炊飯器を挿しておけば、仕掛けた時刻に
Imagine if they
自動的
didn't
に
read
電
those
源が供
letters
給されて、
or didn't
指
find
定
them.
時刻に炊飯器が電源オンにできるって代物です。
へえ、そりゃ便利そうですね。
確かにそれを流用すれば、次元発火装置なんて簡単にでっち上げられる。キッチンタイマーってあたりが女の子っぽくてなんだか複雑だな。
Funny
電
joke.
力会社に頼んで電力を落とすとかはどうすかね。コード式なら電力がなければ無力化でき
She
ま
just
す。
still has the lighter.
ああ、でもダメか。教室が真っ暗になるのと同時にライターをつけるに決まってますよね。
やっぱり解毒剤の線をついて指向性の睡眠薬でも与えますか。指向性ですよ。多分自身に使う前に人質に試すはずです。注意してください。
了解です。手配します。
あと前原さんともう一度話したいな。
Oh boy.
竜宮レナが間違ってライターをいじらないようにうまくなだめてもらわないと。あと盗聴器もオフにさせないといけません。盗聴器はどう？面白いことは拾いましたか？
犯人が人質に被
Bro!
害を加えている模様です。
Probably Mion.
なんてこった。
どうも、
Yeah.
園崎ミオンに対してのようです。
やめろレナ。
Do we end it here? Because I feel like we finally got to transition to a different scene, but that seems like quite a cliffhanger. But also, if we still have an insane amount of time left, I don't. Yeah, based on what people have said, we're not finishing this tonight. So if we're gonna save, I think we gotta save here. Sorry, we're gonna be leaving this in a cliffhanger of Mion getting beat up. But sorry, I really thought we were gonna finish it tonight because it seemed to line up with the amount of achievements. How could I have known that he decided, you know what, let's make the last story be like 5 times longer than all the others. I guess that's just how it be. So, sorry everyone, but we're leaving it on a cliffhanger here because I actually do have to sign off pretty soon. And we're just not going to have enough time to finish it, unfortunately. Sorry, that's kind of what happens when you do blind Let's Plays, though. So, I guess we'll be finishing this for realsies on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, tune in for that. Sorry for the cliffhanger, but that's how it gotta be. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and God bless everybody.